the introduction.
Oh yeah, we got a podcast to do.
Yeah, we should do that,
I guess.
Hello, friends and fiends. Welcome to Bugs Need Heroes, a podcast illustrating the inspiring abilities of insects. I'm Amanda.
I'm Kelly.
Before we get started creating this bug-themed character, what's bugging you, Kelly?
Nothing bugging. It's been a pretty good week. I got my hair done, which I haven't done in probably 6 months, so that was nice. And then tonight we're going into, we just call it the city, but it's New York City.
And we're going into
the
city.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe you've heard of it. It's New York.
It's Joe's birthday. His birthday was the 18th. And we're going to see Drunk Shakespeare.
Wow. Oh, that's fun. We have a big Shakespeare presence here in Portland with Ashland. They have a Shakespeare festival, and it has slowly turned from one festival into like an all year round affair.
Oh, that sounds
like
like
it's just time. Shakespeare all the time in Ashland.
Well, this you get a shot at the door, and then the actors, I think they drank 5 shots over the course of trying to do the play.
That's impressive. I mean, there's a lot of soliloquies I couldn't get out sober. And they're just like, yeah, let's do it. I knew him, Horatio.
Well, we like the show Drunk History. Have you seen that?
I love Drunk History.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're assuming it's going to be a little Drunk History-esque, but a Shakespearean play.
Good. Perfect. That is what I want. Because Shakespeare is one of those ones where people like to pretend it's this highbrow.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's so odd. No, it's all just fart jokes and innuendo. And people forget that this was like the popular plays of the time, which means it's all just innuendo and fart jokes, just like our modern media is lowbrow at times, you know?
Exactly.
They're not all explorations on like the human condition. A lot of them are just like, look at these idiots. LOL.
Sometimes that's what you need.
I feel the same way about like Dickensian stuff. People are like, Dickens, ooh. And I'm like, no.
I'm not a big fan of Dickensian work.
Sorry, well, Dickens. Just know that he was, I mean, I'm trying to think of a I don't want to say J.K. Rowling, but yeah, let's face it. Just like popular media. It was just popular. And people get separated by it by 100 years. And they're like, oh, well, this is fancy now. And I'm like, it's not. It's not fancy. Mm-mm.
No.
Just because it sounds fancy doesn't mean it's fancy.
Well, what about you? What's bugging you?
Oh, what's bugging me? This, I don't know. I gotta figure out if this is an ear infection or if I'm just dizzy for fun. We had fires up here, and it's made this air quality pretty nasty. And normally it's not really a problem because it rains for all of October, but we got about halfway through October before it started to rain. So it's raining now. I'm hopeful it'll go away. As always, Derek's going to scold us for talking about things that happened a month ago. This episode will be in November. Okay, let me think of a problem I'll have in November.
Well, it is October 22nd, the day of recording. So we are from the past.
The past. If it's November now, it's my birthday month.
When's your birthday?
Oh my! It is in the latter half of November.
Latter half. Nice.
Around Thanksgiving, I will say. You can't steal my identity.
What if the listeners want to send you a gift for your birthday?
Well, then they can send it to me around Thanksgiving.
And hopefully it's fan art, because that's what we want.
Yes, as requested in the B episode. I think it was a B episode. I desire art. Always. Well, because as an artist, nothing makes me feel nicer than art, since I don't get to draw these days, except for this podcast.
And it's only Isabella Tiger Moth.
Only Isabella Tiger Moth. She plagues my life and my dreams. She has become my muse.
She is great.
But the other thing that a lot of people are very enthusiastic about, especially this time of year, since we're in the past, is chocolate. So we're doing a chocolate-based episode we've talked before briefly, I think, on the pod about how chocolate has a very specific little fly fly
Yeah. Yeah.
that hangs out with it, and like it needs that one fly. If we get rid of this one fly, chocolate's gone forever.
Well, it's slightly more complicated than
All right.
that. So we call them chocolate midges. So it's a midge. I'm sure
Is there a
you've
difference between fly and midge, or is a midge just like it's just a smidgen of a fly? Just
it's
you
a,
can see me see a
it's a very
midge.
tiny fly. So a fly is a general term. So all dipterans are technically flies.
Oh,
Mosquitoes, houseflies, midges, all flies. I'm using air quotes. So midge is a type of fly. You've probably experienced them biting the crap out of you in the summer.
oh, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Especially like I want to say around lakes. I feel like I get bit
Mhm.
by lakes a lot.
Yeah, they live in moist environments. It's where they lay their eggs in like the detritus, like wet stuff, and they're really reliant on high humidity. So they come out, when the air is muggy.
Mm.
So on top of being warm and muggy, you get bitten by these tiny little flies.
Stuff summer. Was all I gotta say to that.
They're so if we want to like compare them to my favorite fly, the mosquito, my both favorite and
You're
enemy.
both your nemesis and your best friend. Your frenemy, the mosquito.
My frenemy, the mosquito. Midges are much, much smaller. They have a similar life history to mosquitoes, whereas the females will bite to get blood or hemolymph. Some species feed off of other insects. They're sometimes called the tick flies because
Oh,
when they attach, they balloon up like gross little ticks. And super weird, sometimes their wings fall off in the process.
they get so fat that they
Yeah.
they lose their wings. That seems like a design flaw. I'm sorry.
And they'll eventually drop off, and they've got all that blood or hemolymph, and then they lay their eggs. But when I was doing the research for this episode, I ended up on a long string of weird photos of little ballooned up biting midges,
Oh my
and
gosh.
they look kind of crazy.
Now I gotta quickly balloon midge. Too fat? Oh, I did it.
Let's see.
Chocolate midge too full. Why are you? Oh, it's because I'm a dummy. I'm typing into the Surface when I'm trying to get results on the one that I used to record. I'm like, why isn't it working? What a ding dang dummy I am. Oh
Just
well.
type in like balloon midge.
Okay, here we go. Midge too much.
I like when I said type in balloon midge and you're like midge too much. Not the instructions I told you to follow at
No,
all.
not at all. That's me. Let
Well,
me see. I'm getting.
while you're looking for a
Oh,
photo,
here we go. Look
did
at.
you
Oh no. Oh no, Midge, you need to go home. This is
you
too
see how
much.
round she gets?
Oh
Very
my
round.
goodness.
So this was a bit of a distraction for me the other day because they're pretty fun to look at. But they're mouth parts. So if you remember when we were
Really?
talking about mosquitoes
Hmm.
have piercing mouth parts.
Yes,
It's
you
like
mentioned
it's
it's
six
not
little
even just one. Yeah,
styluses
that's the part that I was
velcroed
like,
together.
what? It
So
was a bunch of them.
my favorite description of a biting midge mouth part, which comes from Purdue University's entomology extension, is a fleshy sheath inside of which are four minute cutting blades that lacerate the skin, inflicting sharp, burning pain.
This sounds like that Schmidt guy again, who's all
Yeah,
like, "Oh
it's very
yeah,
descriptive.
bite me, mosquitoes. I love it."
But that's why it hurts so much because their mouth parts are serrated. It's not smooth like a needle. It's pretty gnarly. And everyone thinks they're getting bitten by a mosquito, but the difference. You'll feel the
You'll feel
difference
it. You'll feel it
in a bite.
immediately. That's interesting. I mean, my dad to get too much. My dad recently bought a knife sharpener, so he's been talking about sharp knives a lot lately. I
Oh
don't know if
boy.
anyone else has a dad, but that's what he's doing. And he's like making me chop apples with an old knife. Now chop it with the new knife, and that sort of stuff.
Oh God, comparisons.
Just some real dad energy happening in the kitchen. Um, but yeah, but the theory is, I've heard this. I've never done it myself, but it hurts less to be cut by something sharp. So if the midge is trying to get away with it, you think that they'd bite you with sharper mouth parts and then leave.
Well, they just not everything evolves in the same direction.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, maybe. So this I'm just thinking about now as I'm talking. Maybe because midges are so tiny, like we're talking head of the pin, 2
Mm,
millimeters in length, tiny. They don't have to be sharp because it's pretty hard to smash them.
that's a
They're
good point. They just get
they're
away
so
quickly
small
enough
they
that
get
they don't
away.
need you to not slap them out of the air. So as we're drawing this, we always seem to draw ladies on this podcast, which I'm not complaining about because I love to draw a lady. But
Ladies.
something about chocolate feels very, since we're going to move on to the chocolate promise here in a second. I don't know, chocolate feels very, very feminine, very, but that could just again be my own
Well,
premises.
like
So as I'm
a little
starting to draw
sexy.
the undersketch here, should I draw a lady form or a man form?
Well, we talk about talking about chocolate. Chocolate is considered an aphrodisiac in some
Oh,
cultures, right? So I guess we can go with a whether male, female, non-binary, it's got to be sexy.
it's got whatever it is, it's sexy. I feel like
But given giving the biting, I mean, like we mentioned with mosquitoes,
yeah,
only the ladies are
the
biters,
late
so
because they want that blood for
they
those
need
for
that
those eggs. Yeah.
right for those eggies. So I guess we could go with a lady.
All right. I mean, lust is always kind of presented as a woman and all those like, here's the seven deadly sins. It's always a lady because of the patriarchy, sister. It's true though, because of the patriarchy. Because of the patriarchy,
Yeah,
which is the
women are
source of
sexy objects, not people.
sexy lamps. They're just
Sexy lamps.
you've not heard
I
that
just pictured
phrase
that
before?
lamp from the Christmas Story.
Exactly so, my friend. So just sexy lamp is a term, a writing term specifically, where if your woman can be replaced by a lamp and it changes the story none, you have
Oh
a sexy
no.
lamp story. So as much as I love The Princess Bride, it is a sexy lamp story because Buttercup does nothing the whole time. She affects the story none. She's just a thing everyone else wants. She's a thing that other people carry from place to
Oh,
place.
that's so
She's a
true. Wow.
The only thing she almost does is she almost commits uh I don't know if I want to say this word on the cast. She almost harms herself as a way to get out of it.
Hmm.
But other than that, it could just be they're all after this fancy necklace, the jewel of the ocean. They're all after this box of treasure. They're all after this magical toy. It doesn't matter because she's the sexy lamp. She doesn't affect the
Oh.
story at all. So
Oh, Amanda, I love when you teach me things. I had no idea.
so
It
if
makes
you
so much
yeah,
sense.
I'm full of these useless these
No, not
useless little
useless at all.
little naming conventions for
You're helping me
phenomena.
understand modern culture, which I
Well,
don't understand.
if you're a writer or if you're watching something and you can't quite figure out why someone doesn't have any agency, consider that they may be a sexy
A
lamp.
sexy lamp.
Yes.
Oh, fascinating.
And
Well,
these are sorts of phrases you'll hear if you're watching She-Hulk. I don't know if they use sexy lamp, but I know they use fridged at one point and it made me laugh out loud.
what did that what did that mean when she said
So
fridged?
fridged is a comic book specific term. It is a relation to Green Lantern. I believe it's Kyle the Green Lantern. And when a woman gets fridged, Kyle comes home. He's the Green Lantern, and he's got this love of his life, his boo, and she has been killed and stuffed into a fridge. And it serves no purpose in the story other than to make Kyle suffer because he has now lost his love. But she had no real
She had no
presence in the
storyline
story.
anyway.
Yeah, she was Kyle's girlfriend. She didn't serve any purpose within the story other than to motivate Kyle. So when a woman in comic books gets fridged, it's a woman being killed in order to motivate a man. into his
Oh.
angst cycle. He's got to avenge her. He's got to be sad about it, whatever it is. And there's some things get thrown out as being fridges that I don't really think are fridges, and other things don't get called out as being fridges when I feel like they should be called
They
out as
are.
fridges. So yeah.
Oh, fascinating, Amanda.
So
Thank
if you watch
you.
She-Hulk and she says, "Am I getting fridged?" She's worried she's going to be hurt in order to motivate a man, which
Yeah, because she
happens
said
way
it,
too.
and my husband and I looked at each other, and he goes, "What is fridged?" And I go, "I don't know. I think I
You
don't get
should
the
have just
reference."
texted me
I should have.
immediately.
Now I'm just gonna text you for everything.
Just
Amanda, what
text
does
me.
this mean?
What is a milkshake duck? Tell me immediately.
Well, what is not a sexy lamp is the chocolate midge. She's
She does have agency.
she has agency. Um, she, I mean, she exists for herself to propagate the species, as as animals and us we do, but also in pollinating one of our favorite foods, one of my favorite foods, chocolate. Are you a big chocolate fan, Amanda?
I like chocolate. It's okay. My husband is a chocolate fiend.
Hmm.
He has a sweet tooth like I've never seen before. I don't want to make this I don't want to make it sound like my husband is a man of simple pleasures. If it tastes good, he eats it. If it feels good, he does it. If he likes it, he watches. Like whatever it
Yeah.
is. He doesn't try to like psychoanalyze his own behavior in a way that's like, but why? Is this my unspoken trauma about bounce houses? No, he's not like that. He's like, I
He
like
just
it.
enjoys
I
a
don't
thing.
like it. Yeah, yeah.
Although
So sometimes
Derek
he'll
is
be like,
saying he's picky.
he's also a little bit of a picky eater. Because again, he either likes it or he doesn't like it. The
Mm,
worst is when he thinks he likes something and then it doesn't live up to his expectations. He's very picky about mac and cheese because he likes mac and cheese. Therefore,
yeah.
it must be correct.
I am similarly very picky about mac and cheese.
Well, it's easy to get wrong
We would get
and it's
along.
easy to get
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Wild.
I think I've had some pretty bad chocolate too. You ever
Oh
have
yeah,
like grainy, yucky chocolate?
I feel like chocolate's one of those things where they play fast and loose with what qualifies as chocolate.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that depends on the cocoa, like the chocolate, the fats
Yeah.
in the
Like whether
chocolate,
it's
and
milk fat or whether it's sugar. Yeah,
if it's fat percentage.
I've heard that the UK has like wildly different chocolate than us.
Yes, they do.
I've never
Have you ever had
tasted that.
Cadbury?
I've had Cadbury. Is
Cadbury is
that
a
a
UK
UK
chocolate.
chocolate?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. That may explain why I don't like Cadbury. All this time I thought it was that cream in the middle, but it turns out.
Yeah, it's just they make their chocolate in a different way. I like it. My grandmother, growing up, one of my grandmothers, my mom's mom, is from Scotland, so we had a lot of like UK treats as kids. So I think I'm
Interesting.
pretty used to it. And
Uh
haggis. I've also eaten haggis, which was kind of okay. It was actually pretty good.
I feel like if you don't pay attention to like our modern ideas of what food should be, it's fine. Like we as modern people think you should only eat certain parts of the animal and you're like, "No. If I lived in ye old Scotland, I'm eating the whole thing. The whole thing. I don't have time to be picky. I've seen Outlander. I don't have time. I got to go be sexy in the hills.
Yeah.
I got to go
I think
stand on some moors with the
if no
wind blowing
one
in my
told
face."
you how haggis was made,
Right.
then I
You
think
just like, this is a
you would
meaty
try it
loaf.
and feel like this is good. Yeah, you wouldn't
Yeah.
think about it.
Well,
But yeah, I've had lots of weird
but it does make me think.
treats.
It does make me wonder because chocolate came to Europe through the Spaniards because they
Mhm.
went over to the New World and were like, "We're taking your stuff." And one of the things they took was chocolate, and it does make me wonder if the Spaniards' original chocolate that they brought to Europe and said, "Hey, we've got chocolate now," and everyone else was like, "Well, we got to listen to Spain. They got chocolate. We want it." It does make me wonder if it's closer to the UK chocolate and what that might have tasted like. It does make me wanna go on a
Um,
Googling spree.
I don't think. Well, I mean, first of all, the chocolate we have now and the chocolate we had during the European um, genocide, basically. Uh,
Colonial era.
yeah, during all the colonialism, is very different. I think chocolate recipes have significantly changed in that time period. And the way that the native peoples in South America were eating chocolate is
Yeah.
different than, how we consume chocolate now, too. I think it was mostly a drink at that point.
Yeah.
They were
I know
drinking
very
it.
little about it. I know some things, but a peek into the world of art history is that the art history general classes are just Europe. They don't
Oh,
cover, you have to go and seek out places that aren't Europe for art history. And you can focus on those other areas, but you'll have a specialized art history degree, where
mm.
at least that's how it was for the places I attended. But if you want just a general art history degree, you're just talking about Europe, maybe North Africa, if you have a teacher who really cares about making sure you saw more than just Europe. Very, very Western
Oh, wow.
centralized art history as a practice. It's a whole thing, a gross thing. And
I only
like,
took one class in a college, and it was all European. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like I had to go and seek out the Japanese history that I talked about a little bit in the Beetle episode. Like I had to go and take those classes
Huh.
specifically, and they are taught by someone who specifically studied this area of study.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're an art history professor, otherwise you just might be teaching about Europe, France, England, wherever
Well,
they like it.
yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, afraid so. And like I get it on the sense of like, hey, we don't know a lot about what art was up to in this era because it's all gone. There was a volcano there and it's just gone. But it's not like that. It's like we don't know because we don't care.
Art in general is fascinating, and maybe not so much environmental disruption as white people. you know,
Oops.
white people and Christians, specifically Christian missionaries.
Yeah,
So
there's definitely a period of time there
changing that
where
culture.
they're like, "Hey, I like your stuff. It's ours now." Sorry. So, but chocolate is one of those things that they took. So I'd
They
love to
took
know more
and
about chocolate as it was, both when it first came to Europe and how it was originally used there. So this slide is
right.
probably end up cut because it is not important. We have not gotten to the bug really yet. So the chocolate midge, we had talked about how she bites,
She does
but
bite.
if she's the sole pollinator of this cacao
Right, right. So
plant,
so she's not she's mostly mostly the pollinator. So while I was reading,
she's got a corner
uh
on the market, but she's not
she
the only one
corners
in
the
the game.
market definitely. Yeah. And so does he, the male. So males,
Okay.
if we remember with mosquitoes, males don't drink any blood. So they feed solely on nectar. And the females feed on nectar when they don't need blood for eggs. So they go around to the cacao flower, and a little note on how fragile this system is. The cacao flower, if it's not pollinated in 36 hours, it dies. It just drops off the plant and dies.
36 hours? This
36
plant's
hours.
like, "Now's the time. I'm only here for a day and a half, and if you miss it, you miss it. This is a pop-up sale only."
It's very sensitive.
Wow,
So
it's a wonder we have
yeah.
any chocolate at all if it's only available for 36 hours per
Oh,
little flower.
well,
How long
even
is the
worse.
blooming system?
Even worse, Amanda. Chocolate in its natural environment is in the rainforest area, high humidity, a little bit shaded. But when we grow them, when people create plantations to grow chocolate, they do it in the kind of open areas. So the
Right.
humidity is really low and it's very sunny. So what do we know about bugs? What do they need?
They need, uh I don't know.
No.
I feel like I'm not on the podcast.
Sorry,
They
I
need
just gave you a
water
quiz.
to have their little
Mhm.
dudes,
They
as I
they
call my children, my little dudes.
they like anything else, they need cover, they need shade,
Right, they
and
can't get
they
too hot, these little bugs.
need high humidity so they don't dry out. So when you make a plantation of cacao in an open area, midges have a hard time surviving in that environment.
Really working against ourselves here,
It's
cacao
yeah.
farmers.
So the actual cacao pollination percentages in these plantations is only maybe 3 blooms in 1,000 get pollinated.
There's got to be a better way. that is
We
that is a terrible return, guys.
yeah,
Come on.
we can hand pollinate. Hand pollinating is apparently very successful,
I'm
but
all about the
yeah,
passive the passive success these
let the
days.
midges do the job.
Let the midges do their work.
So we've kind of created this structure for cacao production that doesn't really it's not as efficient as it could be.
I'll
And
say.
cacao is grown all over the place now. So cacao is South American in origin, but we grow it in Hawaii on the island of Oahu. And there it's a different, so there are different species of midge depending on where you are in the world. There's about 1,000 species within this genus. So it's not the same chocolate midge doing all the pollinating everywhere. We have a native species in Hawaii that handles our cacao pollination there. We also grow it in the National Park of American Samoa, and I'm pretty sure it's a different midge species there as well. So these little guys are all over the place doing their jobs, pollinating in teeny tiny flowers that it's difficult for other insects to get into. And that's kind of why they're the hero of this, because bigger insects can kind of get in there, and like bees, for instance, they can kind of get in those little flowers and they'll take pollen, but they can't get deep enough to pollinate in return.
Oh, okay. So the actual pollination is happening much, much deeper down that
Yep. In the flower itself.
flower shape.
Yeah.
Now I gotta quickly look up what the flower shape is.
We call that pollen thievery, which is kind of fun.
Oh, so
So
they're
bees are
getting the
pollen
benefit of the
thieves.
pollen. Interesting. Yeah, my mom was like, "I got a list of accurate period pieces. Do you want to watch them with me?" And one of them was the Elizabeth with Tom Hardy, and I was like, "Yes, I will."
I don't want to like feel attracted to an actor while watching a show with my mom
Yeah,
though.
fair enough. Fair enough. There's some that I just can't like. Some I can forget. I'm like, oh yeah,
Uh,
there's what's his name. But other people, I'm like, I'm distracted by how hot they are at several moments during the proceedings. I felt that way during the first Wonder Woman. Like there were several points where I was like, man, she's hot.
yeah, she is ridiculously good looking.
It was the only saving grace of Wonder Woman
Oh,
1984 was that Gal Gadot was looking, or Gal Gadot, I think it is, was looking so fine.
she always is. God, both of those movies were not very good.
I like the first
Did you
one.
like the
People
first
were up the
one?
first one's booty, but I was like, it's good.
It
It's fine.
wasn't bad. I think it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't.
It's as good as the first Captain America movie, and I'll stand by that.
I'm gonna disagree.
You're free. You're free to disagree all you want. Fair. To be fair, Captain America is not the strong. I mean, it's like what 2009. It's like right
Yeah,
after Iron Man. It's like early in the MCU. They have not figured everything out yet.
no, no. Although, first Iron Man was fantastic, absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic.
Well, without getting into like comic commentary too much here, there is this thing where if something doesn't have a lot of money on it, they will let you do whatever you want with it. Once a property is valuable, that's when the like producerial meddling
Yeah,
begins and it makes things worse. It is my belief that 84 is bad because there was so much pressure for it to be good.
yeah, probably.
But Iron Man isn't worth much before 2008. Uh, he's not Superman. He's not Batman. He's not one of these big names that people who read comics obviously know who he is. But if you don't read comics, you might not be familiar with Iron Man as a concept. So 2008,
They
they
just went
cast
hog
Robert.
wild.
Yeah, they cast Robert Downey Jr., who was at the time a rising star who had crashed and burned into addiction, and no one had seen him for a while, right? So casting him was like this big, like you know,
Yeah, maybe
you know,
this works, maybe it doesn't.
maybe it will, maybe it won't, maybe he'll crash and burn again. He's not an A-list celebrity. He's someone who almost made it, basically. And so there was nothing riding on 2008 Iron Man being good. So they could do whatever they wanted which means they made a good movie.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have someone
And man,
breathing
did
down their
Robert
neck
Downey
saying,
Jr. nail it.
yeah,
He
yeah.
nailed it.
Point a camera at Robert Downey
God.
Jr. and let him
Yeah.
speak. Like that's all it took, really. And so it was successful. You see the same thing with the Matt Fraction run. He did Hawkeye, which eventually became the inspiration for the Hawkeye show.
Mm.
And it was amazing. People were like, wow, Hawkeye for the first time is freaking relevant and good
It's
to read.
cool.
They
Yeah.
love it. They delve into like his deafness, and he gets pizza dog and like all these things because Matt
I thought
Fraction was allowed to do whatever
the
he wanted.
deafness going into the deafness more was really interesting.
Yeah, because
I'm like,
Matt
oh,
Fraction
he's a real
cared about
character.
that sort of. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a person with like problems. And so for the first time, Hawkeye was pleasant to read and actually had something to say that wasn't, I shoot bows and arrows. I'm Hawkeye. Woohoo! But so
Yeah,
they
I
they
really
move
like that run.
so they move Matt onto Iron Man, and then they're up his nose about all the things he can and cannot do with Iron Man because they need Iron Man to be successful. If Hawkeye flew or fell, it didn't matter. It was Hawkeye. What a B-list comic anyway.
Yeah.
But the A-list, they're on your case to make sure that they're good and end up making them bad by not letting you write what you wanted to write. Because that's what made Hawkeye good, is that he was able to write whatever. But these are the opinions of Amanda, not to be taken too seriously on the cast. Sorry.
This is for one of our mini-sodes where we just rant
Amanda
about
talks
comic
about
books.
internalized comic problems. Yeah, for sure. And like, I don't want to make it sound like Matt's going around being like, this is how I feel about it. But this is just the example of things you see
Yeah.
over and over again.
No, it
Of
makes sense.
the first movie's great. Oh, they can just do that, but again. And then they can't do it again because now the first movie made $50 billion and they need the second one to make $55 billion. And if you don't successfully, the comic gods are coming for me. If you don't successfully do that, then we're going to take everyone you know and love away from you. We are very distractible today. We have not talked about chocolate midges nearly enough.
Well, because honestly, they're not that interesting. They're, they make chocolate and that's about it. So when we're talking about these little tiny sexy flies,
so hot.
and I do remember texting you guys last night and going, I'm having a little trouble with with superpowers, right? Because they're tiny, and which is great. Tiny things are hard to kill. And my other suggestion was they're too important to jail. You know that
Yeah.
you know that supervillain that is way too rich and he gets away with all. I'm thinking maybe Kingpin in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Just too much money to really get caught.
He could really buy his way out of
Yeah.
of repercussions. Lex Luthor falls under that category a lot.
Yeah, Lex Luthor. I think our midges would kind of fall into that category because we love chocolate so much, and our chocolate industry is so dependent on these little bugs that I think I would call that a superpower. What do you
So
think?
are you saying that you think the midges are villains here? Because
Kind of, yeah.
yeah,
They
I mean,
they
that would
bite.
fall into a lot of the companies who sell chocolate. I won't name names unless they come for me, but there are some dubious behaviors happening by companies that sell chocolate.
Right. And sometimes if you get bitten by midges, certain people experience an allergy to their bite and you get like swelling, it's itchy. So I guess I would call that a bad like a bad guy too, pretty villainous.
Allergies, they're going to pay their way out of trouble. They look at you from a bar and like your vibe.
Yeah. There was
Oh, villainous behaviors.
villainous. There was one story I was reading about Queen Victoria,
Yeah.
and she was picnicking in Sutherland, and she wrote in her diary how bad the biting midges were. So you got to be
She
pretty
was
annoying to make it into a queen's diary.
You have to be pretty annoying to make it into a queen's diary. I will say that she was like she was well known for like journaling every aspect of her life. A huge amount of what we know about Victorian life, and her life in particular, is because she kept like, I think the grand total is like 600 journals throughout her life.
Whoa, that's a lot of journaling.
I'd have to check the exact number on that, but they have them all, and so they just will like read through them. A lot of them are full about how hot she finds Albert. She's just like, I can't get enough of my husband. He's just the cutest.
Aw,
I mean, she does
that's
have
really
9 children by
sweet.
him, so
That's very
uh,
sweet.
yeah, it is cute in its own way that she's like, he's so hot, can't wait. I mean, he is
He's so
also her cousin, so
dreamy.
it's a little weird, but it's fine.
Uh,
Yeah, but
di-
she's it's
different
often
times.
it was different times. It was different times. Often she talks about like how dreamy he is. He's like, oh, he treats me so nice. Oh, he's such a nice guy. Not
Aw,
always, but sometimes. By the standards of the day.
that's very cute. I guess it's what's way better than journaling about midges ruining your picnic.
I'd rather read about the midges.
Yeah. And when I talk about midges in this way, I don't mean specifically our chocolate midge. I mean biting midges in general, which is the type of midge that our frenemy, the chocolate midge, is a type of biting midge.
So, do all midges bite, or is it just some kinds do, but the chocolate midge is like too busy to bite? She's like, I'm chocolating. Or is it just midges across the board will bite you?
No, not all midge species bite. That's and like I said, some of them that do bite will only bite other insects or invertebrates. So even
Oh,
if, you know,
okay, I must have missed that when you said that. That's
oh,
interesting that they,
well,
that they're
remember
hunting each
like
other.
remember we talked about mosquitoes that not all mosquitoes bite mammals. Some of them bite birds, some of them bite
Right. Okay,
reptiles.
okay.
So midges, not all of them bite. Those that do bite, some bite mammals, some bite other insects. The others survive solely on nectar. So both males and females are pollinating because when not biting, the female drinks nectar and the male always drinks nectar.
Right, that was the part I found so surprising during the mosquito episode, is that they were pollinators, because this is a pollinators positive podcast.
We love pollinators,
We love pollinators. Um,
even mean little bitey ones.
Even little bitey midges. So this teeny tiny fly is the only one who can really get down in there to get to the pollinating parts of this flower. This,
Hmm.
is it cocoa or cacao? I think it's cacao,
It's
and it's still the
cacao.
plant.
Yeah.
And that is allows them to make the pod, and then we take the pod and we take the seeds and we
We
mash them
dry
up and make,
them and we mash
yeah.
them. And yeah, there's a whole, I don't really I don't remember the whole process. You know what I was trying to remember yesterday and I just couldn't. I'm pretty sure I watched some kind of documentary about chocolate, like the creation of chocolate.
Uh-huh.
And I thought maybe it was a Nova or a Nature or a PBS special. Does that sound familiar? Have you guys seen that?
Uh I hate to bring up Magic School Bus once again, but I know I've seen I know I've seen the Magic School Bus episode where they talk about chocolate.
I'm certain I wasn't recollecting the Magic School Bus,
I'm
but
positive that you have
I
a
like that
higher
that's a
brow
thing.
education than me.
Uh, I don't, you know,
Well,
only with some
I'm
things.
sure you remember higher brow things than me. That I've just seen so much Magic School Bus in my life. That's what comes to my little brain.
Derek is mentioning the dark side of chocolate. I don't think that's what I watched. About, oh boy,
I'm
about
sure there's,
exploitation and slave trading of African children to harvest chocolate, and that's not what I
yo,
watched.
that's a little harsh for the pod.
Maybe it was something on Netflix. I don't remember.
I'm sure there have been,
Maybe it
because
was Vice. It could have been Vice.
Derek is suggesting that the villains keep slaves. Yike!
Oh no, we're gonna have to cut that.
We're gonna have to get rid of that.
But there is like a darker side to, no pun intended, to the chocolate trade, and like Derek has suggested, that does further solidify the villainous of this
Definitely.
team.
And I think it's definitely one of those bugs that we talk about. Well, if you care about such and such, you need to care about this bug. But if it's from Central and South America,
Hmm.
I'm thinking, my brain immediately goes to the Amazon rainforest, and you're talking about how they're taking it out of its native habitat to try and make these farms. It I don't want to put too heavy a point on it, but it sounds like chocolate might be in trouble if we don't embrace the midge.
We should embrace the midge, because currently our plantain setup, our plantation setup is, like I mentioned earlier, is not good habitat for the midge. So some of it is hand pollinated, but hand pollinated is not better than having a healthy midge population. So if we just make that environment of the plantation more midge friendly, we'll get more chocolate.
So we could hand pollinate them, but let's face it, the thing the bug evolved to do is
They're
better at it
better.
than us.
Yeah.
Going plant the plant going with a little Q-tip, being like, I hope this works. And it sounds like it only kind of works.
Yeah. It's iffy. It's iffy. So who would have thought this tiny little villainous bug would be so important to such a, the chocolate industry is like billions of dollars a year.
Oh yeah, it's gotta be. Because at this point, chocolate's like a global food. Like I can't think of at least my experience with other developed nations is that everyone's got chocolate now,
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, as of when I was looking at statistics, as of 2017, the cacao industry is $80 billion a year, with
Dang.
3.5 million tons of chocolate produced annually. So
Okay,
it's
so
it's
I need
big.
to add some bling to
Yeah,
this
yeah.
midge here.
Our couple should look rich. Our midge couple should look very rich.
Okay, I'm gonna line her dress with fur. Fur is fancy, right? That's what it takes these days to be fancy. Okay, let's see. Okay. I'm trying to figure out how to fit them both in here so I don't have to draw two people. All right, I think I'm gonna have her hand on his shoulder to show that she's really the one who's in charge. Let's face the facts.
She is. She most definitely is. So Amanda, I'm gonna ask you, how's the drawing of our couple
So
going?
I've got her blocked in. She is this is gonna go into my predilections of what I find to be seductive, but she is wearing one of those robes where it's like sheer except for the fur line around each cuff.
Oh,
I felt like
fancy.
that was the most like obviously
That reminds me of like
lustful.
much older woman, rich, sexy.
Yes, precisely. I
Right?
should make the man much younger than her. Okay, hold on. We'll make her a cougar. She's Charlize. She's holding on to it. She's
She
so
is
beautiful.
so
Oh my
beautiful
gosh.
still. Oh,
You know who else is beautiful and is a woman of age is Michelle. I think it's Yo, but maybe it's Yo, and she's just allowed us all to pronounce it Yo. But everything everywhere all at once. Uh, Michelle, just so beautiful.
oh, her. Yeah, she's
Oh, she's
beautiful.
in Crazy Rich Asians, and she's also that's the vibe I should be going for is that Crazy Rich Asians vibe. Okay, let's give him. I'm gonna give him a beard to appeal to your Tom Hardy love.
Oh, always with Tom Hardy.
How high should I make his hair? Because I feel like a guy who's gonna be evil and sell you things should have really high undercut hair. That's what I'm going
Oh,
with.
it's
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
be an
yeah.
undercut. Yeah.
Gotta be an undercut. Okay. What's the eye situation? Compound eyes, good eyesight, or they
Oh,
smelly boys?
compound eyes, regular little fly eyes.
All right. Well, I'll
They
come back
rely
to the
more
eye.
on their sense of smell because of pheromones than they probably do eyesight.
So previously on the mosquito episode,
Hmm.
we had discussed the fuzzy little antenna.
Oh yeah.
How fuzzy are those antenna? And
Oh,
should
they're
I
very fuzzy and they're really
repeat our
adorable.
solution last time was to give him big ol' eyebrows. Am I repeating the big ol' eyebrows
If
theory here?
Yeah, if we're relating male antennae to eyebrows, he should have very fuzzy eyebrows.
Okay. And I see if I can't give him some like offshoots, kind of implying some antenna into this hair. What's the most villainous outfit a man can wear? But also imply that he's very rich. Maybe a
Um,
sweater over the
oh,
shoulders?
you know what? I'm thinking. Can you? He might want to look like Eugene Levy in
We're just gonna
in Schitt's Creek.
fully Schitt's Creek him entirely. Okay. Big ol' eyebrows.
Oh
Dan,
my
if you're
god, yeah.
listening, we find
We
you
love
very
you.
attractive.
Yes.
And those eyebrows are, of course, always on point. We're not trying to disparage on those eyebrows. My brain goes to the sweater over the shoulders thing because of my associations with like clueless prep school boys.
Yeah.
Clueless the show, not
Your
necessarily men who don't know what's going on.
your associations are all 15 years old.
That's what it is to be an old lady. That's me. I'm old now.
Oh,
Oh yeah, this is the look. This is the look. We can also imply his wings this way. That's what I'll say it
yeah.
is. Give him a polo shirt here.
Occasionally I have a book recommendation, and this time there's a book called The Secret Life of Flies by Erica McAllister, and it is fantastic. If you've ever wanted to know a little bit more about flies in general, and I think a really easy way to read it. This book is great, and it's got photos, like little tiny photos. And if you want to know more about flies, I can recommend The Secret Life of Flies. And I'm not being paid to say that.
We're never being paid to say
No one's
anything on
paying me to
this.
do anything. Yeah.
Let's give her that peekaboo haircut that Jessica Rabbit stole from. I believe it's Veronica Lake originated it, but that's
Really?
I believe so. And then they use it again on another lustful character from Fullmetal Alchemist. If you're a fan of Japanime, as my mother calls it.
Your mom really calls it Japanime? Oh
She
boy.
did. She did when I was a kid,
Oh
but
boy.
there was a brief while there while they were trying to figure out what they were going to call it in the United States, whether they were going to call it Japanese animation or call it anime. And for a while, Japanime was like the term to use, but it was the term for like 6 months. And I was like, let's just call it anime, you guys. That's what it's called.
Yeah, there's no reason to make a new name.
As we've discussed before, it doesn't need a new name. Stop naming things people have already named, you guys. So we've given him the sweater. I assume these will be boat shoes once I've drawn them. A
Oh, they've
hot
got to be
chocolate
boat
in
shoes.
hand. She's just, dare I say, stereotypically hot.
She's good. I like that. Yeah.
So I'm just not sure what details need to add to them to make them more buggy and less just evil.
Well, his eyebrows are on point, which is
Very
nice.
thickum boys.
I think we're getting a little bit of wing action from the sweater and her
Her,
robe.
yes.
What else? If we're thinking biting flies
Oh, okay, that's interesting. We made the vampire
with a mosquito.
with the mosquito. If we put these two in the same universe, is she also a vampire? Is she also a member of the vampires
I think
coven?
so. Yeah, I think she would be a vampire. He would not. He would be following her around.
Like like the husband in the vampire or the what's
In
it
the
called?
mosquito
Mosquito
episode. Yeah.
episode where he's just simping in the corner. He's a
Yes.
little less of a simp, but it
He
remains that
he
she's
still
the
he
one in charge.
important job. Yeah. Yeah, you could give her little fangs.
Okay, let
Can
me
you
give
make
her
the fangs serrated to match their serrated little mouth parts?
I'm not sure I can get to that level of detail without really zooming in on her.
Yeah, red lips to signify the blood.
Yes, 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 yes. Is he wear? Maybe I'll give him some campaign buttons on his polo shirt
Oh,
here.
they should be politicians.
Yes.
Yes, they should be politicians.
Okay, okay, okay. There we go. There we go. But secretly, she's eating the interns. Terrible news.
She is definitely eating the interns.
She's definitely
Oh,
eating the
100%.
interns. This is what you see when you open the door to their dinner party, and they're like, "Welcome in. Come on in. We've got all these chocolate themed items. Would you like a chocolate turkey? A chocolate drink? A chocolate ham?"
So out of 6 legs then, how do you feel about the chocolate midge? Are you conflicted?
Well, I'm conflicted. Once again, you know me so well, Kelly. Because I feel like the bug itself is not really that spectacular of a bug. I'm sorry. I'm calling it out. But the fact that it allows chocolate to exist, a huge plus, right? I need the chocolate. How am I going to cram 6 Twix down my gullet every Halloween if I don't have the chocolate midge to sell it to me? How am I going to bottle my own water? Oh, no, sorry, that's getting into the politicalness of chocolate companies. But how am I going to eat my hot chocolate, drink it with my son on the couch as we watch a Magic School Bus, obviously, every morning, if I don't have this hot chocolate? So I'm afraid, like this villainous character, I have no choice but to vote for the chocolate midge and say that they are 5 out of 6 legs. I'll give them 5.
Oh
I'll
my
take one down.
gosh.
Take one down for ability. Chocolate is important, Kelly. It's
Oh my
important.
gosh. I was not expecting 5 out of 6 legs.
They've got
Ooh.
me. They've got me. I have no choice. I've been Lex Luthered into this situation.
Enthralled by the chocolate midge.
What are you gonna do, Kelly? You gonna get rid of it? You gonna go around on all those little farms with your little Q-tip and make it happen? No.
One by one, just me
One by
alone.
one. You don't want to do
Listening
that,
to
Kelly.
our podcast.
You're like, I get
Pollinating.
this. No. Nobody wants to have to do that. So we need the chocolate midge.
It's fair. I think I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 6.
Oh, they're coming for you.
Because I love chocolate, but I don't know if I love chocolate that much. I don't know if I love chocolate enough to cancel out how much I hate biting midges. I don't like being, as someone who does field work sometimes during the summer, and the midges like to take little chomps out of me. Not a fan.
Chomp, 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 chomp. You're
very
like,
chompy.
That's it. I'm giving up chocolate. Give me the monkey's paw to get rid of the midge. I will allow the chocolate to go away.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't go that far, Amanda. That is too much. I'm giving him a 3, not a 1.
As we've already discussed, you cannot get rid of a single bug and have it not affect the ecosystem. I still see those questions. Now that you've pointed them out to me, I see those everywhere. How do I get rid of all the mosquitoes? How do I get rid of all I don't know what other pest bug there are?
It's just not a good question. It's not a good question because you
can't. This isn't a dodo bird where, although the dodo bird did cause effects too, because now isn't there that tree that like can't get pollinated because there's no dodo birds?
Oh gosh, I mean, I'm not sure. I haven't heard that, but maybe.
Oh, it was this. So there's this tree, and it's got these pods that the dodo used to eat, and so it would go through the dodo, and then the dodo would poo it out, and then the seeds could grow somewhere new, because that's the strategy for a lot of fruit-bearing trees, right?
Right. Yep.
But now without the dodo bird, there's no one to eat the fruit. So now there's only like one tree left, I think. And it's just
that's so sad.
So even the dodo bird, a bird that we consider like the baseline of, sometimes things go extinct and that's fine, is not fine, because now there's a tree that will go extinct because it doesn't have the dodo's doo-doo to make it go.
Well, I think now with modern eyes too, we look at that and we realize the dodo going extinct was not okay.
Not cool, guys. Not cool.
Yeah.
And like so many of these extinct animals, it came down to we were exploring the earth and we ate all of it.
Or sometimes we just find them annoying. Like you've heard of the Carolina parakeet?
I've not heard of a Carolina. It sounds like I'm never going to encounter one either.
No. So North America, we used to have, and the East Coast at least, something called the Carolina parakeet, and it looks just like the parakeets I'm sure you're thinking of right now when I say parakeet.
I am.
It was native to North America. But when we were growing crops, I think it was specifically wheat, these parakeets would come together in big flocks of hundreds and wipe out our crops. So farmers said, I've had enough of this. And they killed all of the Carolina parakeets.
Wow.
So we used to have a native parakeet and not anymore.
So who knows what other niches that parakeet was filling that now are just running rampant that we did no idea. Like, why are all these blackberries out of control? It's because there's no parakeets.
And it's just a shame. Imagine how beautiful it would be to look up and see parakeets just flying around the United States.
That's one of the things I think about Australia when I watch Bluey. or whatever it is. That it's wild that like parrots just exist in the wild because I've only ever encountered a parrot as a pet, and they're
As
like
a
these
pet.
highly intelligent little birds, right? That like bond to humans and all this stuff. And it's wild to me to think that they just are out there being free in the wild, which is where they belong. Don't get me wrong, it's where they belong.
Yeah.
But it's totally foreign to me to think of parrots as a wild animal that you may encounter, or like budgies as an animal that you
Yeah,
may just
budgies just sound funny. Like, I feel like I
encounter.
would laugh
Budgie.
if I saw a bunch of budgies flying by me. I'm like, "Oh, look at you guys."
I once saw I'm not good enough with birds to be able to tell the difference. I think they're called cockatiels, like the little ones with the orange cheeks.
Yep, cockatiels. They're very cute.
Yes, I'm
And
a
the little
master
crest,
of
the little yellow crest.
Yes, I swear to you, one lived in the tree next to the local duck pond because I would
Sometimes they
see
get
it every now
loose.
I would see it every now and then, but I could never quite see it, if you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'd see it, but I was like, "There's no way I just saw that." But I saw it, like, I think I wanna say it 3 times before I never saw it again, and I was like, "Surely a cockatiel can't survive in the wild." But then again, why wouldn't they be able to survive in the
Yeah.
wild? It's a bird. How much seatage does a bird need, you know? Like
In my city, a certain amount of pet parrots have gotten out, and, they've come together, and they all live together in this parking garage, and you can hear them when you walk by. It's very much tropical bird sounds.
that is hilarious. I
And they
would love
stay
to
there all
encounter
winter
this.
because it gets very cold here in the Northeast, but, they remain pretty comfortable, in the in the parking garage. I think there's
That's
also
funny.
parrots in New York City that live in a church, but I'd have to
A
check that.
and I've heard that pigeons aren't native. It's one of the things we
No,
think of
no.
as, like, this native creature, but secretly, they are also invading us.
Yeah, pigeons are native to the Mediterranean, and,
Oh.
we brought them over for various uses, food, and then we bred fancy pigeons here, and eventually they got released out into the wild. But because pigeons are rock birds, so they live on cliff faces in kind of tough environments, and it turns out the city is perfect for pigeons.
They're like, "Perfect. I'll just
It's
perch
great
here on this alcove here." And
on this
I mean,
50-story building.
yeah.
Yeah.
The city is, tough, but I don't think it's cliffside tough. Seems like that's
So
a little easier.
pigeons do very well here. I know where bugs need heroes, but I know quite a bit about birds as well, and I'd love to do some bird episodes.
Birds need
Interesting
heroes.
birds, because
So
birds also
far,
need heroes.
we've managed to keep other animals with bee names. We've had bats need heroes, and we've had now birds need heroes. We're
Birds need
gonna start an
heroes.
empire of B and H across the universe. Bugs Need Heroes is created by Derek Conrad and Kelly Zimmerman, hosted by Amanda Niday and Kelly Zimmerman. Bugs Need Heroes is produced and edited by Derek Conrad. Our music is Ladybug Castle by Roll Music. All character art by Amanda Niday. Got a bug question? Email us at bugsneedheroes@gmail.com. Check us out on bugsneedheroes.com for the visual companion to our episodes with the artwork of the bug-related heroes. We also have an Instagram, Twitter, and subreddit under the Bugs Need Heroes name. Thanks for coming by. How do I give her more of the vibe of the woman from Ted Lasso? Do I just give her really muscular arms? She's just so fit. And you're like, "Oh my gosh. She could strangle me so easily."